Hey, what is up everyone? Today I want to talk about this new game called Funko Fusion. If you've been watching the channel for the past week, you've seen me post a bunch of shorts and different videos talking about how to unlock different things in the game. So as you can probably tell, I've actually been playing this a good amount over the past week since it came out. So for this video I want to talk about just my thoughts on the game and whether or not I think it's a good game or not. When Funko Fusion was first announced, I was interested, but I wasn't entirely sure if I would actually like it. At first glance, it just kind of reminds me of some kind of Lego game, the way that it kind of acts and moves, and the fact that they're all toys and stuff in franchises that we know. The humor is probably the most similar to the Lego games, which is good because there are many parts of this game that I actually laughed a lot at. One of the first things that I saw that I found really funny was you have like this mission in the Jurassic World part of this game where like you're having to rescue the dinosaurs that you see, and one of them is like it's showing like the different cameras of the dinosaurs and like what they're doing when they're getting captured, and there's this one where it's like a mama dinosaur pushing a stroller with a baby dinosaur inside, and I just found that funny. It was kind of something that I wasn't expecting, and I don't know, made me laugh. And then there's lots of other parts of this game that are pretty funny, so I think in terms of being compared to a Lego game, the humor is probably the most similar there, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Now, the comparison to Lego games, while there's many people that love the Lego games, for me, I've never been the biggest fan. I think, there are some good ones and stuff, like the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga that came out a few years ago. I thought that was good, but I've never really enjoyed the gameplay of them as much. It's really just more of a nostalgia thing when you're playing these Lego games. So I think a lot of people were concerned with Funko Fusion that it was just going to be a nostalgia thing, that you would only care about this game if you were into the franchises and that kind of stuff. So that was a concern for me going into this game. However, I was pleasantly surprised by just having a lot of fun with most of the levels that I played. The main thing that made me interested in Funko Fusion was the blending of the different franchises. Growing up, I loved games like Disney Infinity, which feels like a closer comparison to this game instead of a Lego comparison, because you're really taking all these different franchises, making them like toys, and then having them interact with each other. Bringing these characters together is a ton of fun, and I think Funko Fusion does this in a unique way. Before I get into that though, let's talk about how the game is actually structured, because I think there's some misconceptions with how people perceive this game. So this game has a ton of different franchises, from newer stuff like Invincible or Umbrella Academy to older stuff like The Thing or Battlestar Galactica. But some of these franchises are full worlds, each with a set of story missions, about I think 5 or 6 of them each, as well as others are just like single bonus levels. The Invincible franchise, for example, is only a single level, which is disappointing to me because out of all the franchises in the game, Invincible is the thing I was most excited for, but I'll talk more about that later on. There's a good amount of worlds to unlock, and you unlock them as you progress through the game, but it's kind of nice because you get to choose which ones you want to go for. So if there's one of these main franchises that you're really excited to do, you can basically jump right into it. So out of the main worlds that we have to explore, we have Jurassic World, which also kind of includes a little bit of Jurassic Park, Umbrella Academy, Hot Fuzz, Masters of the Universe, Battlestar Galactica, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and The Thing. I believe I got all of those there, but I might have missed something. Well, that's a lot of different worlds and very unique set of franchises. I mean, The Thing is a little bit more on the horror side, Scott Pilgrim's a little bit more on the comedy side, Jurassic World's like the action stuff. And all of these, while they all fit well together, they all have very distinct vibes from each other. So with that said, there might be some worlds that you really like the gameplay of, and then others you might not like as much. For example, for me, I really love the Battlestar Galactica and Umbrella Academy levels, but I didn't really care for the Hot Fuzz levels at all. So the main thing you're trying to do with each of these missions, not only are you trying to follow the story, each of the different worlds have their own mini story within them, as well as there's like a global story that encompasses all the different worlds, but the main gameplay goal of doing these levels is you're trying to get these different crowns in the game. And the crowns basically let you unlock different worlds, and that's basically the main way you do progression in the game. And I really like the system. I think the crowns work pretty well. It kind of gives you the flexibility to do it in whatever order you want. You're not held to the standard of, okay, you have to complete this world first, then you can unlock another. If you want to, you can basically jump around and, do 2 levels from this world and do another couple from another world, and then unlock the next world, or however you want to do it. I also want to mention, I really love how you unlock the worlds, because basically you're in this hub world, which is like this big factory, and whichever world you choose first is your first level of that factory, and then it basically is dynamic, so whatever you choose next basically becomes the next level. So you're essentially building the factory as you unlock more things, which, as someone that does a little bit of coding and stuff, I just found this really cool that it was like a dynamic thing. It wasn't just like some door that you go up to and it unlocks. It's like you are creating the factory based off the order that you choose the different worlds to unlock. So I just thought that was really cool to see. So moving on to the actual worlds themselves. I was a bit worried at first because, to be quite honest, I'm not really a big fan of any of these franchises. Like I mentioned before, the thing I was most looking forward to is Invincible, but that's just a side mission. When it comes to the actual main worlds that we have, really the only ones I'm familiar with before playing this game was Jurassic World, which even that one, I only saw the first one. I preferred the older Jurassic Park movies. And then I seen Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So only those two I knew. Everything else was brand new to me. So if you're worried about going into this game and not even really caring about any of these franchises, the gameplay on its own is enough to keep you interested, because I'm having a ton of fun without even knowing anything of what's going on. I do think if you do enjoy these franchises, you'll probably get a lot more out of it. I think there's a lot of little things that you'll notice that probably have a little bit more fun with. Like for me, there was a lot of little things I noticed with the Invincible level that maybe other people that haven't watched it before probably wouldn't get. So one of the other cool mechanics that they have with these levels is that once you've gone through the level once and you've completed it, you can go back and play as any character from anything that you've unlocked. So let's say you're in the Scott Pilgrim world and you have finished the level, you can actually go back and use your characters from, say, Umbrella Academy or Jurassic World, and you can basically mix match all your characters together. And the really cool thing with that is, once you've gotten that part done, you can actually start unlocking the Cameo Levels, which require using different abilities from the different characters. And you might be wondering, why do you care to switch characters if they're all like the same? Because if you're familiar with other games that have done something like this, you might be used to like all the characters being vaguely the same, maybe having like different weapons here and there. But this game, they actually make it a lot more unique. So there's characters with special abilities. So like for example, you have the different characters from Umbrella Academy that have abilities that are useful for getting through different parts of different levels. So you have like one that can basically manipulate people to like move out of the way. You have another one that can basically jump around and stuff. Or you go to like a different world, say like The Thing, where you have someone with a flamethrower that they can get through certain areas of different worlds where you weren't able to with the original characters that you have. So the replayability is actually pretty good with this too, because even if you've completed the whole game and if you've gone through once through every level, you can actually go back again and there's completely new stuff to unlock. And that brings us to the Cameo Levels, and really you have to have all these different characters and different items unlocked before you can start unlocking these Cameo Levels. And the Cameo Levels are really cool. Invincible is one of the Cameo Levels, but they have other stuff like Five Nights at Freddy. I know a lot of people were excited about that. I thought the Back to the Future one was pretty fun. There's other ones for like The Mummy and Jaws, and even like Nope, which I thought was kind of a strange pick that was a little bit surprising. But Funko Fusion really has a unique set of different franchises that are involved with this. And I think if you notice the franchises that they chose, it's really more aimed at an adult audience. And I think they really were intentionally trying to separate themselves from the Lego games. Because if they just came out with, say, like, you know, here's like a Marvel world and here's like a Star Wars one, a lot of people would look at this game and probably think it's just for kids. Which I've heard that opinion from some people already, but it really is not. I feel like this game is a lot more aimed at adults. Just look at the franchises that they chose. Stuff like Hot Fuzz and The Thing. Kids don't know what those franchises are. I don't even really know what those franchises are. Like I said earlier, I'm not familiar with most of these things that are in here, but I still found it a lot of fun. So I would definitely say this isn't a kid's game, and it actually is a little bit more brutal in some of the areas. Like you see like people's skin get pulled off in some areas, and you're shooting people's heads off and everything. So, I mean, they're all still toys, but it is a little bit more violent and graphic than you'd see like in a Lego game or something. Sadly, I will say the thing that I was most looking forward to, that Invincible level, I really did not enjoy. I think once I started figuring out some of the ways to like manage it a little bit better, it became a little bit more enjoying. But honestly, they just had this dumb idea where basically you had this endless spawning amount of enemies that were attacking you, and you had to try to do those puzzles at the same time. And it just wasn't enjoyable to me. Like, you couldn't even enjoy the fact that you were in the Invincible world and then you were running around and stuff in it. And the world itself was probably the smallest of all the levels I've seen. Most of the levels are pretty expansive where you can like move around a good amount, such as like the Back to the Future level. That was a pretty wide open area. We had like the whole town that you could go around in. So all around I was pretty disappointed with the Invincible level, but luckily basically the rest of the game made up for it. I mentioned earlier the Umbrella Academy. Overall, I think those are my favorite levels out of the whole game. I also think Battlestar Galactica had a good handful of levels as well. So if you're getting this game, I'd recommend trying those two out because I think those are great. And if you're a big Scott Pilgrim fan, it basically follows along with the movie, where basically each level is fighting one of the different X's. So that's pretty fun as well, but I didn't really find the levels as interesting as other areas of the game. So really that one specifically, if you were into the movie, you'd probably find a little bit more enjoyment from it, but if you're just going off pure gameplay, it wasn't that great. I know I mentioned this already, but I was honestly really surprised with this game because I looked at it, I was interested in playing it, and then when they sent me a copy to review the game and I played it, I was kind of like, oh, you know, I'll just play it, try to get to the Invincible level, maybe make the one video and then be done. But then I just kept playing and I haven't stopped. Basically every night this week I've been playing this outside of maybe like an hour or two in something like Sea of Thieves or Fortnite. But most of my time has been spent in this game. And I think it's just really fun. They have different like crafting mechanics that you can do. I didn't even really talk about that, but you basically can unlock different parts that unlock different things. Like you can unlock a portal, you can unlock different weapons. There's so much different stuff in here. One of the other things that's great with this game is there's really no microtransactions. I think there's like one DLC pack that you can buy. I think it might be the Walking Dead characters if you want to get them. I don't think you really need it because there's so many other characters to unlock in this game, which I think is kind of rare in some cases given the world that we live in now, where I feel like maybe other games and other developers would probably put like some microtransactions, like you only get 3 characters to start off with and maybe the rest of them you have to pay like $1 or something to unlock each one. So I was pretty impressed with just how many characters are available to unlock for free in the game, and we're supposed to be unlocking some more over the next few months through DLC updates. And you might be wondering, why are we getting DLC updates? Are they anything really cool? Not really, it's just the characters that you get. There's no like new levels and stuff coming. But what they are adding in the future is basically their fully roll out online co-op to the different worlds, starting with the Jurassic World levels and then going from there. And then each of these releases are going to have a free bonus character and outfit. So cool, I guess, but I really think this game would be a lot more fun playing with others if co-op came with it at launch. But to be quite honest, I was going to probably play this single player anyways. I just think it would be more fun with others. So keep that in mind. If you wanted to wait for co-op to be done, just wait a few months, maybe wait till Christmas and it should be ready. But if you don't really care about that, it's a great time to play. I mean, they've had some bug patches recently, but honestly, I've only experienced one bug that I was able to resolve pretty quickly, and then the rest of the time it's been bug free. So I've had a great experience with this. Most games kind of release in a buggy state, and I'm kind of used to that and used to waiting several months for it to get patched to play. But with this one, I haven't had any issues. So I think I talked enough about the game. In general, my thoughts are I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. And even if you're not interested in the franchises, I think the gameplay on its own makes it worth getting. And I think you get a lot of content for the price that you're paying. I do hope in the future maybe they'd consider adding more worlds as like a DLC add-on. I would be perfectly fine paying a few bucks or however much to get a few more worlds, especially if it's franchises that I'm more interested in. But for what we have now, it's still really good. But that's all I have for this video. If you enjoyed, it'd be great if you like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below, have you tried Funko Fusion out, or do you find it interesting at all? But that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye y'all.